All right, guys, let's go ahead and do the bell work, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to transition to today. That's not bell work, is it? There we go.
Can we start doing that other thing that you wanted us to do instead of Reading Place?
What's the other thing?
I don't remember
The
what it's called.
Newsella?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not able to do that.
Why?
It's usually a matter of finance. Austin, you're helping. Can you jump up there, please? All right, Riley, go ahead and give us the first one.
Okay. On the very first line, additional 2 days. It should
Okay.
be 1-0.
It should be, what now?
1-0.
It's how many days we're counting, so it's got to be the number. So it should be
Smokers
2W.
almost tend to miss an additional day. No, not that two, the other two.
Ah, there we go. Now I agree with you now. It should be 1-0. So we've also given away the second one, which should be TWO. So we still got 3 more. Rose, can you give us one?
Yep.
Awesome.
The last sentence in the first paragraph,
Okay.
that it's, at the very, that is,
Okay. And why are we changing it?
it needs to be, it is.
Okay. So it's a contraction, so it would have to change to the apostrophe. Okay. Chaston, you got another one? Let's move on to the second paragraph. There you go.
It says its members last year.
Right after the big acronym DEHOGA in the middle there,
You don't need this one anymore.
because it actually has its own members. It possesses the members, right?
This one right here?
Yes, sir.
Underline this one up here.
And we need one more. Miss Martin, can you help us out?
It's not the only company.
Okay.
The first thing is in the paragraph.
There you go. So it's a contraction of it and is, so it should have the apostrophe. All right, thank you very much. Now I know you guys are probably sick of EOC review, so we are going to start something new today. For now, just leave the computer shut, but we'll use the Google Classroom soon enough. Okay. We're going to be talking about dystopian literature, and we're going to examine a little bit of it through some short stories of Ray Bradbury that are actually pretty cool and very short. You might like them, but they're a lot like The Twilight Zone or some sort of kind of mysterious or even spooky or scary, but a lot of them are written about 50 or 60 years ago, and they're very predictive of what's going on now, how technology's taking over. Bradbury is kind of he's not trying to be a prophet, but in predicting what's going to happen, he was very close to it. But dystopian literature, does anybody know what that is? Does anybody know what a utopia is?
No.
A utopia is an idea from Sir Thomas More of the perfect society.
Yeah.
So if utopia is the perfect society, what is
It's the worst.
dystopia? Right. And dystopia comes from modernism, and it comes from the idea of disillusionment and people not being happy with the government. And it is one of the most prevalent themes in all of literature and movies and even music. As we'll see in a little bit, I'll play a dystopian song. But we're going to look at the facets of dystopias, what makes good dystopian literature. You guys, are you familiar with any dystopian literature?
No.
Never heard of the Hunger Games? Divergent, Insurgent? All of these things are about as dystopian as they get, okay? And it's one of my favorite genres. I think you guys are gonna like it too. And it always has a facet of the government's trying to do everything right, but something goes horribly wrong, and then somebody wants too much power, and then the people are always looking for the truth or their freedom, something along those lines. And we'll see a lot of those aspects here as we look, all right? So that's what we're gonna do. Today we're gonna build background knowledge on just exactly what dystopia is. We're gonna then go into a web quest about Ray Bradbury. You guys can make a poster. You're gonna get in groups, make a poster or a PowerPoint presentation. And after we do that for a few days, then we'll read the 3 short stories, do a couple exercises with those, and then have a test on that. And we'll do that alternately with the EOC and the Reading Plus, okay? So to start out, let's talk about dystopias in general. All right, so is it a perfect world? I think we can all agree that it's not. Even though you could argue the forefathers kind of tried to do that. But most dystopian literature or dystopias are set in the future. You guys can imagine a world, I'm sure, where can I do for you? Okay. I'm not positive with that. Right now, I've got to finish this. Are you going to be in?
Biology.
Okay.
Can I not read a plus number so I can get it for
Okay. I need to finish what we like to say. Just going to have to after this period?
you?
Okay. That'll be great. All right. So, you guys know about the government that slaves 24 teenagers every year. What are they going to do with them? We're going to throw them in the arena to fight to the death. What is this? Yeah. Have y'all seen all of them?
Yes.
I still haven't watched the last one.
It's not
I
real
watched the
life.
first one.
Again, I'm sure as an English teacher you know I'm going to say this, but the books were better than the movies.
Yeah, they were.
I didn't know.
Another dystopia. I don't know if you guys read this one. Love has actually been diagnosed as a disease in this particular story, and they, of course, find a cure for it. They just take the love out of the equation, which a lot of people argue that's what makes life worth living. It's called Delirium by Lauren Oliver, and it's a really good one. Any of these that you guys haven't read, let me know, and we can.
I want that one.
That one is really good. Another dystopia. You guys seen this one?
I don't know.
iRobot. Right. So as you're all catching on, we're much more familiar with dystopian ideas and literature than we knew. This worked out great till the robots decide that humans are going to be easier to protect if they had no freedom. It's just like in the Avengers, right? The Ultron or whatever, he decides humans are easier to protect if they're all dead because then he doesn't have to worry about it. So that's fairly dystopian as well. iRobot, I did like that movie. So you guys are familiar with dystopian literature, all right? We're going to look at some of the aspects of it so that we understand it a little better, and we'll be able to analyze the works of Ray Bradbury when we get to them. So dystopia is an imaginary futuristic world in which society lives under the oppression and control of the totalitarian government, right? A repressive society, a force of technology, or a corrupt business corporation. These are all pretty familiar, you know, the Hunger Games, the government controls the food. iRobot, the robots are in charge, right? It's always something the government's trying to do what they think's the right thing, but it always ends up being the wrong thing. Dystopias often start with an illusion of a perfect society. They're trying to get it right. They're trying to build that utopia. But as the story progresses, the reader and the characters obviously realize that this fictional world is the opposite of perfect. Something is horribly wrong usually. Okay? They focus on current social, technological, or government trend that shows what would happen if this trend were taken away too far. 1984 is a famous one. The government just gets too much power, which is kind of playing out today. The idea that Big Brother is listening, that's from 1984. It's basically an exaggerated worst case scenario. This allows the dystopian story to make a criticism of a trend in the real world. So dystopians really stem from the way the authors feel about the world already. Right? And these go as far back as the late 1800s, we'll see. The Time Machine by H.G. Wells is one of the first ones, if not the first one. All right, so the history of dystopian fiction, we'll find out real quickly about H.G. Wells. There you go. The earliest well-known example is H.G. Wells' novel, The Time Machine. They made a movie of this about 10 years ago. Did anybody see it? The guy goes back in time, and it turns out these weird Morlock sort of animals, hybrids of humans and animals, end up taking over. So when he gets back to the future, it's gone wrong. It depicts a distant future in which the human race has evolved into two species, one that herds the other like livestock. The Time Machine was published in 1895. So when he gets back to the future, or when he gets to the future, humans are the cattle, and these big hybrid Morlocks control them all. Even before that, 1835, pro-slavery writer wrote a novel called A Sojourn in the City of Amalgamation. It depicted a dystopian future which black people and white people had intermarried and had children together. A predictor of exactly what happened, right? Most all of dystopian literature has some sort of facet that either has come true or it's talking about what's going on right now. These are some of the big ones, the famous ones. In the 30s, 40s, and 50s, dystopian literature became powerful, and American writers criticized communism and socialism. You know, we've heard of the Big Red Scare, McCarthyism, the idea that you were either American or you were communist, and there wasn't any middle ground. These decades produced some of the most important. This is maybe one of my favorite books of all time. It's about burning books so that you all stay stupid and don't know anything better than the government tells you. And it's all about to be the upper crust, your living room is all four walls over your TV, because that's what's important, is TV, right? And it's, as big as our TVs are getting, Ray Bradbury wasn't far off. And
What are you saying? What's his name?
Ray Bradbury? Bradbury. If you want to say Bradbury, you can. All right. 1984, Big Brother's Watching. These other two, Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. These are famous ones. But you guys are going to be a lot more familiar with the ones that we're going to get to in a few minutes. All right. All right. So the next few decades after the 60s, 70s, and 80s, then many more dystopian novels. The Running Man by Stephen King. Anybody ever seen that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No, but Stephen King is awesome.
Yeah, he is. He's a great author.
he's like
V for Vendetta just came out not too long ago. And as it keeps going, you're going to say, oh yeah, I know all about dystopia, and you just didn't know it. You guys have heard of The Giver? So in '93, this was published. It's about the perfect society where all your choices are made for you, so you don't even have to worry about it.
We
Takes the
should read
anxiety out
some
of it.
Stephen King books.
We might, and we might, as we get to with Ray Bradbury. This is one of the first, this dystopian novel. This started the young adult dystopian kind of movement, and that's where it's headed and where it's stayed since then. Giver opened the floodgate, and we got a bunch. Since the beginning of the 2000s, dystopian novels become one of the most popular and successful trends in young adult literature. We've got Among the Hidden, was popular then. I don't know if you guys have seen all these, The House of the Scorpion, The Uglies. This was right around the turn of 2000. So we'll get to ones you know more about. Maze Runner. Everybody's seen the Maze Runner, the new one's coming out. Hunger Games we're obviously familiar with. Feed. This is actually a pretty good one. I think you guys would like if you like the Hunger Games. The City of Ember. They've already started making these movies as well. Barcode Tattoo, very cool. Very cool. I think you guys would like that one as well. Forest of Hands and Teeth. And there's just no end. It just keeps coming. All right. Divergent. I know everybody knows Divergent. Matched, very good one. And Delirium, the one we've already talked about. So there's no shortage of it. All right. But what really makes it dystopian? That's what we want to look about, or we'll learn about. Most dystopian stories share several common elements or ideas. We touched on them a little bit, but let's look at it a little more in detail. Citizens of the dystopian society live under harsh control, usually the control of government, a corporation, technology, or religious or philosophical ideas. So all the things that we could almost feel keep us down now, right? The government. With today's politics, it's almost embarrassing. But these are almost always what the dystopian is about. The truth about the world is often kept a secret for most of society. The Matrix, a very famous dystopian society series of movies. The truth that they're all actually just batteries, really, in the end. So that's one of my favorites, The Matrix. The story sometimes takes place after an apocalyptic event. Everything has changed, so order has to be retaken, and whoever takes the power usually misuses it. It ends the world as we know it and gives rise to a new world and way of life, oftentimes not that good of a world. Citizens expected to conform strictly to society's expectations individually. Individuality is always a bad thing. That's pretty common in all of this, right? And as young adults, you're at that point where you want to be an individual. So I think that's one of the appeals of dystopian literature. Society tends to dehumanize the citizens. You don't mean anything. You're just a number, really. Often the illusion of a perfect society covering up how horrible things really are. And that's the Hunger Games, right? Everything's perfect. Everything's perfect in the Capitol. No, we're good. Don't you go over there and film that. Look over here. So sometimes the stories and pressures truly believe they're doing what's right, but often the illusion of utopia is merely propaganda meant to keep citizens under control. Again, Hunger Games, perfect example of that, right? Robot again. Main character of dystopian stories, often one of the few to question the goodness of his or her society. He or she recognizes how wrong society is, and the character's perspective helps the reader recognize the negative aspects. So you oftentimes can identify with the main character, right? They're finding out who they are or what's wrong with the world and where they stand in relation to that wrong. So to create a dystopia, what do we need? In general, fiction dystopian societies usually form in one of two ways. We got the new government, where it gives power to a corporation, technology, or a system of belief in order to create a better world. They sell us a bill of goods, we buy it whole, and then it turns out they weren't quite that honest. All right? It's supposed to solve problems and create a perfect society, but the new government, the new business, the new technology, or whatever we're believing in becomes oppressive, unjust, and inhumane, and of course, somebody's got to rise up. The giver, they try to create a perfect world by eliminating all of the pain, physical pain as well as emotional pain. Kind of takes all the fun out of it, if you ask me. Bad choices, sad memories, failed relationships. But by eliminating all the pain, we eliminate all the goodness and happiness, maybe, or even the reason to live. Because if you don't feel pain, then you really don't feel joy, and you have nothing to compare that to. Uglies, they try to create a perfect society by making everyone carefree and beautiful. So everybody's beautiful, and you're made that way, and if not, then you're on the fringe of society and ugly. This solves the problem of low self-esteem, eating disorders, racism, and prejudice. But can you live a carefree life and also feel free to think what you want? What if you didn't want to be made over? What if you didn't want everybody to be the same? I mean, I love cheeseburgers, but a cheeseburger every day is going to get old. Gattaca, this was a pretty good one. Society uses genetic diagnosis to make children born with the best possible genes. So there's no birth defects, there's no even down to the color of eyes or intelligence levels or physical ability. So I think Gattaca was a pretty good movie. That might have been before your time. I'd still talk about Gattaca. Fahrenheit 451. Again, this is one of my favorites. Books are a pain. Seriously, think about all the violent disagreements people have thought about in history just because of ideas. The Bible's a book, they get rid of it. The Koran's a book, they get rid of it. You do what we tell you to do, and it'll be on TV 6 tonight, and you'll all be watching it, and we'll let you know what you need to think. So the fire department actually comes in, and they burn books. They don't put out fires. The fire department burns books. And if you get caught with books, we burn the books and you. Okay? So it's a really interesting book about, the whole point is about banning books. And in the 50s when they're banning classics like Tom Sawyer, Catcher in the Rye, things like that, this was a reaction to that. Society decided to keep the peace by burning books in the houses that store them. They burn it all. If you got a book, you're burning it down. Okay? Other dystopians, we're all pretty fond of zombies nowadays. That's a dystopian. They're created after an apocalyptic event destroys most of society. Those left alive have to adopt extreme policies in order to survive. Right? So whoever's left makes the rules. The government, technology, corporation, whoever's got control after the disaster usually begins with a genuine desire to save the world, but after either becomes corrupt and oppressive as it goes about saving the world, such a bonehead way it ends up threatening humanity. Power, they'll saying that absolute power corrupts absolutely. So usually when somebody gets in power, even with the best of intentions, things usually go wrong. Maze Runner, you guys know this one. It's a trilogy. The Sun Players destroyed most of the Earth. They've already made the second one, right? Scorched Trials. Is that right? In an attempt to control the population, make sure everyone doesn't starve to death, government releases a virus that turns most of the remaining people into cannibal zombies. Right? And in order to cure this disease, the dystopia becomes even scarier than it was before. City Member is another one. We'll go ahead and move on through some of these.
Please.
WALL-E, did y'all realize that WALL-E was dystopian? Just cute little WALL-E. But the whole world, you know, they got so chubby they don't even walk anymore. There's a good picture of that one. The Hunger Games, I think we're familiar enough with that one, we don't even need to talk about it. So some of the themes, again, we'll touch on these real quick. Dystopian stories have common themes or messages. You'll notice that how the dystopia was originally created usually affects the eventual theme of the story. So depending on what's taken away, whether it's the food or the books or the love, obviously is going to affect the plot of the story quite a bit. In 1984, the danger of a particular type of government, the government knows all. And this one's pretty close to happening now. They, you know, with the Homeland Security laws, they can hear every cell phone conversation, get every text. You know, the argument about the guy's phone might not be as important as some of the other things they're doing. The Giver, it's about knowledge and truth. Right? So obviously the story revolves around knowledge and truth. Among the hidden, overpopulation becomes a big problem. I think we're headed there too. Right? A lot of these are very predictive of what's going on. Barcode tattoo. You make all your purchases, you just have a tattoo. That's your credit card, all your information right here. You scan your arm everywhere you go. Not too far from that either. Free will and individuality. Surely you guys like making up your own mind. You don't want to be told that this song is the only song you get for this week, and next week it'll be a polka, and we'll just tell you what you like. Danger of technology. Come on. We know that one, right? All right, Stephen King, The Running Man, it actually becomes a TV show that's hard to turn away from, like Survivor. I don't know if y'all like that one. There's that Naked and Afraid. There's actually people in the woods naked 2 or 3 days trying to survive. It's amazing what we're actually watching on TV, what's being put on television. Maze Runner, you guys know this one. Again, one of the classics, Lord of the Flies. Some kids get on an island all by themselves, and all of a sudden it devolves into basically cannibalism. Very quickly too, without rules. So, is it a perfect world when you talk about dystopias? Or is it a dystopia? Right? Do you think we have a dystopian world today? Our forefathers set forth on this continent a new nation, so on and so forth, with the best of intentions, but is it working?
Maybe the older ourselves isn't like a dystopia, but there's somewhere else in the world where it's more like a dystopia that we don't realize.
I think so. I think what we don't know as far as America's concerned should probably kill us too. All the laws they make about, we didn't win this election, so we're going to make super delegates now. Super delegates haven't always been around been around for 20 years because the Republicans got mad and lost the election. So they tried to fix it so they wouldn't lose anymore. Right? That's an abuse of power. So instead of a perfect world, we end up with a dystopia in almost every situation, and the literature just reflects what real life is. Okay? So we've seen it in literature, we've seen it in movies, but actually it's a theme in songs as well. So I've got a song by The Who. Has anybody ever heard of The Who? Band called The Who, seriously?
I'm the only one that looks like.
You all have heard umpteen amount of their songs. They're on TV shows. They played the Super Bowl a few times. So you have heard of The Who, or at least heard of their music. So we're going to look at some of their lyrics and talk about them for a minute, and then after that, I will get the guitar out and play it for you.
All right.
You probably heard this one too. But before we hear it and really remember the song, I want to just talk about the actual words as they are. So if you guys will take a minute to read through and annotate this, maybe make a couple of notes of what sticks out the most to you as far as dystopia goes. Here you are, sir. All right, it won't get fooled again by The Who. All right. This is a song from around the time period that it became a really big deal. What?
That song.
Won't get fooled again. Written late 60s. About the time Bradbury was very, very famous. Ray Bradbury, one of the most prolific writers, actually had a TV show, much like The Twilight Zone, on HBO for quite a bit. So check this out, read, make a few annotations of what you think is the most dystopian about it. We'll talk about it a bit, and then you'll hear all the music. I was looking at it more as a way of just these words let you know that it's dystopian, or that they're unhappy, or that the government's in the wrong. Just whatever kind of in a dystopian fashion jumped out at you.
Oh, okay.
Let's just go ahead and talk about it. So I want to make sure we get instructions on what comes next. So they're fighting in the streets. That's pretty standard. Children at the feet. Everything that they thought was gone. So the new government does what? We're kind of just reading it as it goes. So the new government sits in judgment, and if you don't like it, what do you get? Shotgun, right? So do it our way or die. A new constitution, a new revolution. You better just smile and bear it, smile and grin, right? And the only way the Who felt they could even talk about this was pick up their guitar and play. The next one, the change has to come because nothing stays the same. Somebody else always wants the power, right? They take you from where you are, liberated you from the fold, but still nothing's changed, and it's basically the same flags that were in the last war. Okay? Again, the chorus with the new constitution and the revolution. Comes to him moving his family aside, if they're still alive. He gets all this stuff and looks at the sky, and the hypnotized can never lie. So, just like when we talked about some of these other dystopians, the government sells you a bill of goods, and they want you to swallow it whole, and if not, they'll shoot you in the face. Right? Nothing in the street looks any different. People are just saying different things. And people that were over here a minute ago now have power over here. The left and the right, basically liberals and Democrats. Liberals and Republicans and Democrats. Democrats being liberal. There we go. Again, beards have grown longer overnight. I don't know really what that one means. But, so as you can tell, this is basically straight dystopian. We're in a fight, everything's changed, there's a new government, shut up and like it. Better smile and grin and bear it, meet the new boss. It's basically the same as the old boss. Has anybody ever heard this song before? Never. Never, don't even know who it is. Y'all are making Mr. Dickinson feel very old. Alright, I guess I will play the song for you, and then we'll see what we're going to do after that.
Freaking cold.
Always cold, what?
It's cold. Like, you know, people fall asleep in cold rooms more than they do what?
No, I did not know that.
That's true. She turned the heat on.
I'm not sure that's true.
That's so true.
I think if you go to sleep in a cold room, you don't wake up. That might be what you mean.
I
You just die.
I got goosebumps. I'm cold.
All right. 6:42 here. All right. We'll be fighting in the streets with the children at our feet, and the morals that they worship will be gone, and the men who spurn us on are sitting judgment of all wrong. They decide and the shotgun sings a song. I tip my hat to the new Constitution, take a bow, the new revolution, a smile and grin, change all around, and I pick up my guitar and play, just like yesterday, and then I get on my knees and pray, we don't get fooled again. A smile and grin, change all around, and I pick up my guitar and play, just like yesterday, and I get on my knees and pray, we don't get fooled again. Leave myself and my family inside, if it happened to be left half alive, get my papers and I smile at the sky. I know the hypnotized never lie. Nothing in the street looks any different to me. But think about the slogans are the same now. And the partying on the left is now the partying on the right. And the beds have all grown longer overnight. So I tip my hat to the new Constitution, I take a bow, a new revolution, I smile and grin, a change all around, and I pick up my guitar and play, just like yesterday, and then I get on my knees and pray, gold again.
Good job.
Very
Encore.
good.
Thank you very much. So, but the point of that is that dystopia is not straight literature or straight ideas. They put in the songs. I think The Who, that is one of the best ones,
Let's do an encore.
in my opinion. But if you guys will open up the Google Classroom now, we'll see what is going to
I think
come
we should
in.
just stay here. We only got like 10 minutes left anyway.
How much?
Yeah.
Well, we can at least talk about this.
Well, actually, we got like 20, but it don't matter.
I say we can.
So what are we doing?
We're going to look at what's coming next. We're going to get some groups together, and you guys are going to research some stuff. I'll give you some websites. Let's just look at the directions, and then maybe we can get with your groups and discuss how to go about it.
How many in a group?
Well, there needs to be 5 groups, so we'll just start counting 1, 2, 3. But first, let's see what we're doing, and then we'll worry about who's in the
Well,
group.
I really, like, I really have to pee, but I only have 1 more pass left, and I want it for my extra credit.
Well, go ahead and do what you gotta do.
Really?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
Click on where it says Bradbury WebQuest, and let's look at what we're doing. Okay, again, I really think this is cool. I think you guys can tell that, but it's because Ray Bradbury is one of my favorite authors. The main character in Fahrenheit 451 is named Montag, and that's actually the name of my Kindle, because I love to read, and it's about burning books. So, you know, I think that Bradbury is pretty cool. I think you'll like these. As we're reading, you're about to set out on a quest to learn more about the author, Mr. Bradbury. Everything he does is dystopian. That's how this all goes together. He's very prolific. He wrote hundreds of short stories, close to 50 books, numerous poems, essays, operas, plays, teleplays, screenplays. This guy got around, and he did basically since he was a kid all the way to he died. He was a working author. He's one of the most celebrated writers of our time. Groundbreaking works include Fahrenheit 451, The Martian Chronicles. Anybody ever heard of The Martian Chronicles movie? Just not too long ago? Okay.
Hey, which one are you on?
It's the WebQuest. It's the second one down in the classroom. Right there, Bradbury WebQuest. All right. Bradbury created a fascinating world. It's filled with science fiction and dystopian societies. His work, more often than not, held us up to the magnifying glass to society and all its ills. And as I said, he was a predictor of what was going to happen. Okay? He knew technology was not probably the best thing for the human race. So the assignment, what you guys are going to do, you'll be assigned one of the following topics. And as you can see already, the topics have some starting places with links there. You're going to document as much information as possible. You can take notes if you want. If you're going to create a poster, then you might want to just take notes. If you're going to create a PowerPoint, then you want to cut and paste your information into one document. I don't care. You can just do it as a group. You can all do it on one computer. That's fine. Okay. As I said, the information is going to be used in a gallery walk activity would be the poster, but you guys are welcome to make a PowerPoint or a Prezi, or if you get a funky idea, you can make a video for all I care. Okay? And I'm giving you some starting places and some questions, but I want you to add one thing I didn't ask about at least. Okay? So you're going to find out all the stuff that I'm asking you about. For example, there's Bradbury. If you get Bradbury, there's some links, but there's also questions that I want you to answer. And you're going to add at least one unasked thing to your collection of knowledge. Everybody understand that? Okay. You can use the rest of this class period to work with your groups. I'll give you more time. Obviously, next period. Huh?
Are we gonna groups?
No.
Well, hey, that's a good idea now.
Hang on a minute. So, you got this class period and at least one more, if not a little more time, depending on if you're making a PowerPoint or a poster. Obviously, I can get you the big paper if you need. Okay? Use these websites. Feel free to explore additional topic-related websites. You can just Google the guy if you want. Or you can Google whatever it might be. Ray Bradbury, we want to know about the author. Dystopias, we want to know a little bit more about it, not just in literature, but in general. Today's technology, as opposed to, say, well, there wasn't technology 40 years ago, right? So maybe somebody wants to tell us about the theory that the Roswell crash gave us all the new technology we use
You should
today.
get your ass beat.
All right. Today's Technology is another group. Life in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. What was life like when Mr. Bradbury actually wrote these things? What was going on when he wrote basically about now? Right? 50 years ago, he was writing about things that are very relevant to us now. Okay? And finally, a big one for him, television's influence on society. From the first, there's three or four shows in a day, and you came home, you watched one or two shows, and then you went back outside. I'm having that issue with my own children. Like, don't you want to go play outside? Put your phone down for a minute? And the answer is invariably no. I'm fine. Thank you, though. So, group one, obviously Ray Bradbury. There's your questions, the things I want you to talk about. Dystopias, today's technology. So you have starting points. If you're only going to follow this, then you have at least one that's not being asked of you. Okay? So how many of them started? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18.
Well, not.
Basically, 5 groups of 3
Yeah.
with a couple of extras. Can y'all handle your own groups?
Yes.
Now that means don't. This is obviously for grade. It's going to be on thoroughness, completedness, creativity, and teamwork. So if one of you sits there and does nothing, I'm going to know about it. Obviously, at the end, all of you are going to write how well you work together. Okay? So let me see 5 groups then. If y'all, you can get up and move into your groups, and then I'll